Renee, good to see you. Just how important is tomorrow's match and finishing the season in second?
Yeah, very important. We want to, of course, we're going to go to secure the second place in the table. But there's so much motivation for us tomorrow, coming from different directions, and we're gonna put everything into that game tomorrow because. From a table perspective, it's very important. We'll have so many fans backing us, so we want to deliver our best possible product for the fans as well. And then we want to show ourselves at our best again for ourselves, coming off of the last two games.
Yeah, there is a long gap between this match and the Champions League final. So how important is it that you go into that game with a good feeling following a good performance tomorrow?
I think we need to be leveled and mentally strong anyway, and but of course a good game, a good performance that can create momentum, and that would be very positive for us. But first and foremost, it's the game against United tomorrow. That's very important for us. But yeah, we've been talking about creating momentum and doing positive things, positive behaviors, positive actions that can create that. It's within our control, and that's what we're going to try to do tomorrow.
How concerned have you been about what's happened over the past two matches?
There's the two different games. I think the first one, you see clearly that we come away from mental, physical, emotional investment and short turnaround traveling, and so we understand where it comes from, but then still the learning, how do we then do better in those moments. The second game is different. I think we create a lot, and I think what Brighton does really well is find the right moments in the game to score their goals. So I think they're very different. Of course, we've been looking at it and what we want to do better on what the big learnings are for us, but we also know that we can get back to our best, and when we're at our best, we're really good.
We know that Lena and Amanda will depart the club at the end of the season. Is there a chance that they could be involved tomorrow? Obviously, the game is so significant, it's difficult to just hand out minutes and do things to give people that opportunity.
We have a very big squad and a lot of players available at the moment, and there's a lot at stake. So I'm only thinking about the game and the result we need tomorrow, so I'm planning accordingly.
And finally for me, Alessia Russo has been announced today the Football Writers Women's Footballer of the Year. Just what have you made of her contribution this season?
Yeah, so the obvious one is, of course, her goal-scoring contribution, which has been great and very important for us. But all the things you see in the background, so the way she trains, the way she treats people, very humble, respectful, and always wants to learn. So, and I believe that when players or people are like that, you're more likely to get the best out of yourself, and that's what she's been doing consistently. So, very impressed with Alessia, and it's a privilege to work with her. Thank you.
Tim. Yeah, hi Renee. Could I ask for team news on Sunday, how the squad, if at all, is different from Brighton, and whether Daphne van Domselaar will be fit?
So we have 3 players not available, and that's Daphne van Domselaar, Lina Hurtig and Katie Reid, and the rest is fit and in contention.
And can I ask as well, some departures were announced this week about players whose contracts are expiring. Can I first clarify about Victoria Pelova and Beth Mead? It's always difficult to know exactly what's accurate with contracts, but are their contracts up this summer?
I think we don't discuss contracts in the press conferences, so okay. Sorry.
So that's taken out my next question, but I'll ask you like a wider one then, because it might be my last opportunity this season. In this room last year and all around the country, we were constantly asking the owners about deep defensive blocks, low defensive blocks, what are the issues, how do you solve them? That's really not been an issue since you've taken charge. However, maybe there's been a little bit of payback for that maybe Arsenal do look a little bit more open in terms of transition and fast counter-attacks. And I wonder if you've had a chance to reflect on trying to find maybe more of that sweet spot between the two poles.
Yeah, definitely. And for us, it's all about we want to invest numbers and we want to have freedom, but there's a couple of principles that we also always need to stick to. And whoever that player is, and we can be fluid and rotate, but whoever the player in that role at that moment in the final third needs to play that role for us. And we're very aware and aligned on how we want to organize ourselves. It's a lot about of course, the reactions when you lose the ball, and it's about how you position yourself. So those are the key areas, and we try to find the right balance. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi Renee, I've already talked about like the importance of finishing second. I was wondering if you could talk a bit more about one of the benefits of finishing second is that next season would start slightly later for you guys. Just how important would that be? I mean, especially considering you'd be coming off a major tournament for a lot of your squad.
Yeah, it will be very good. It will give us a good start for next season, knowing that a lot of players will be active during the summer in the Euros and other international windows. So that will be very good for us. So that's really what we're going for tomorrow. But then we're of course happy that we have secured Champions League. But we're really going for the second place tomorrow.
And I suppose one of the kind of things we've seen in the last couple of weeks with the great high Lyon and the defeats after that, and maybe your team still lacks a little bit of consistency. Is that like how important is that to, I suppose, improve with an Ajax next season if you're going to mount a significant title challenge in the league?
I think we've been very consistent over long periods of time, and I think, of course, like I just said, the Aston Villa game after Lyon, and then that we get the second one against Brighton, which for me is a different game. We don't accept us conceding so many goals, so that's the starting point. But we don't see that we lack consistency in that sense. I think we have a great foundation and we believe in what we're doing. And again, if we perform at our best, then we are very, very good, because I think we've proven that now as well in going through to the Champions League final. But of course, we want to get back to winning ways.
Have you had to be a bit more firm, maybe, in your messaging to the players during these last couple of defeats, because they have been quite heavy, or are you someone that likes to kind of keep the same kind of tone, whether it's good or bad?
I think that's key for us, and that's what I've been saying a lot as well, that staying leveled, keeping your processes the same, regulate your emotions, so stay balanced. But of course, in those moments, it's important to find the keys moving forward, and that's what we've tried to do, and create clarity together with the players. And I think it's been a good process. Again, us as a staff working really hard to find those keys and get clarity, but then also again together with the players and hear their input and how they want to move forward. So it's been really good processes, and I think coming out of this, there's so many learnings, and it's brought us closer together as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Helen.
Yeah, I've got two questions, Renee. The first one is a fairly simple one. How can you beat Manchester United's mean defence? I think they conceded the fewest goals in the league.
Yeah, no, they have a very impressive record, so very well done by them as a team, and the way they set up, and of course a great goalkeeper as well. And we see opportunities, of course, like any other team we play against. So I won't share those details right here, right now, but I think we are really good at finding ways to score goals systematically, but also with individual qualities. And we've shown that against Lyon, for example, who had conceded very little before, but we know it's going to be hard work tomorrow to find those opportunities, and we respect their defensive record.
The second one is, I was trying to put myself in your shoes. It's easy to do these press conferences where they're all looking at you when you're winning, but when you've lost a couple of games, it must be a lot harder. But for you, your job in terms of knowing what you have to do next must be a bit clearer, because you learn, everybody says, I think it's possibly true, you learn more from defeats than you do from victories. Because you can coast into a victory, but you have to face things in a defeat. And I wonder if there's anything particular that you've learned.
I think it's very important to learn from victories as well, by the way, because that's when your team is positive and in a positive momentum. So that's also where you have a little bit of room to be critical. But otherwise, staying in the same processes, as I said, it's been important for us. And like I just said, us coming close together in all times. And I want to include the rest of the club as well, and the fans as well. They've been there for us, and they've pushed us back into games or into competitions, and we're doing it all together. So, and that's really what I feel at the moment. And it's been very constructive. So yes, you have a phase of reflection, but then you go and you're constructive to what you want to do to move forward, and that's what we've done.
And does it help you know where the gaps you need to fill in the transfer market?
I don't think so far ahead, and like I just said, this was 2 games, and we don't believe that is us, because we've shown such a high level over such a long time, and that hasn't changed just because of 2 games. So we are at a very high level. It's very competitive in the squad. We've reached the Champions League final, so I don't think we should doubt ourselves because of these last 2 games, but there are definitely warnings for us that we need to stay consistently on a very high level.
Thanks. Good luck tomorrow.
Thank you.
Hi, Renee. Just picking up on something Helen said, or something you said to Helen. What do you think is, I guess, the biggest things you've learned from the victories? Because, yeah, it seems like a decent way to phrase it instead of focusing on learning from defeats.
Yeah, so I think in the way we play in victories, I think we create some kind of flow and fluidity in our games, and we dominate in a certain way, and that's where I think when the players are in that state and create momentum, I think they find new solutions that we hadn't seen before, and that's what you can build upon, and that's their learnings. But also you do concede a couple of moments, of course, or you want to get your detail even better on the ball, and that's what you can analyze then or reflect upon and tweak.
And earlier on you mentioned regulating emotions, and that's something you've, I think, mentioned a few months back as something you need to train. And I was just wondering, how do you actually train that? Is that something that you've kind of been able to find out?
Yeah, what we say is when we focus on the task, both staff and players on the pitch, when we're task focused, the emotions don't take control of us because we know what we need to do in that moment, and we're focused on the action that we want to execute, and that's what we train in trainings. But me personally, I believe I can train my brain as well with mindfulness exercises, for example, and to keep the attention on the right things.
Thanks, Isabel.
Hi Renee, nice to see you. Several of the players, including Caitlin Ford, who we just spoke to, have spoken about the confidence that you've instilled in them and how much they've enjoyed, how confident they felt this season. I'm just wondering how important of a factor do you feel that is, and how you think you've managed to instill that in those players, and what will that mean going into match tomorrow and of course the final?
Well, they are all great people and great players, so making them see that, feel that, empowering them in the right moments, and trying to put them into positions that gets the best out of them. So that's part of the process, and yeah, that's going to be important tomorrow, coming away from these 2 games. But the way we've been constructive, had a tough day, of course, the day after Brighton, which we had to get through together as well. But then the way we've gone from there, and today the positivism, the constructive communication, smiling faces, put some music on, watch our goals back from the games we've played at the Emirates, for example, getting back in the momentum as quickly as possible. And yeah, so confidence is important, yeah.
And you just mentioned the Emirates there, but how excited are you to go there one last time this season, hopefully get a win for the fans who've been great, and I'm sure lots of them will go to Lisbon, but
yeah. So that's the question answered. It's for me, I think we're, I don't know how many we've sold, between 45 and 50, I think. So it's going to be amazing. It's always an honor, a privilege to be a part of this and get to play your games at the Emirates with so many fans and such a great setting. I think it's going to be beautiful weather tomorrow, so I think it has all the elements for a fantastic day, and we know it's on us to deliver the product that we can deliver in the best way possible.
Thank you.
Thank you.
John.
Can I just ask you one more about Alessia Russo, just winning the award? Just, you know, you talked about her wonderful season so far, but I just wonder how much more there is to come from her as a player, and how much scope there is there for potential improvement.
Yeah, I think she came in as a quality player. She's improved during the season because of her mindset. and I think there's more to come. So there's still things that she's working on and wants to do better, and so that's the exciting part with Alessia as well. I think all the potential that we still see. So she's on such a high level already. She has the mindset, and then even more potential to become even better.
Do you need that mindset as a top player to always strive to improve?
I think so, yeah. You can't be without it, because at the highest level, there's so many quality players, and the women's game is growing now as well. So to be able to get the absolute best out of yourself and having that winning character and growth mindset, I think you need it. You see it with the players that win trophies and are part of the best teams and winning teams in Europe and domestically. You need that mindset, I think, to get the best out of yourself and the team. Thanks.
Yeah, looking at Saturday's match right now, I was just going to get your overall assessment on the Manchester United players and the management.
I think they're a good squad, a good group. Like we just touched upon, they've conceded very little this season. I think they're very proud with the development they've had and being so high up in the table. So I think especially their defensive record and the way they use their players, and a couple of players being really good individually this season as well. I think it's impressive. So they've done a really good job.
And like yourselves, they've also reached the cup final, the FA Cup final next week, which is difficult to do that in consecutive seasons.
Yeah, so again, that's impressive. So that's well done by United, but I'm sure they'll have to focus on the game against us tomorrow, and us the same.
Thanks very much, everyone.
Thank you.
Cheers, guys. See you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow.